Now we move on more than 10 years. And at this point, Roger, if you remember, the guy who stuck Marcus's hand in the candle, inspired by the Mercury space program and the successful Sputnik flight just a year before, was experimenting with the effects of centrifugal force on the mice his dad had bought him. He built a 3-foot diameter centrifuge up in the twins' bedroom adjacent to the bunk bed and imagined he'd sell his findings to NASA someday. At the end of the centrifuge's long arm was a small egg-shaped capsule that could hold a mouse. He'd put a mouse he bought into the capsule, close the little hatch door he'd made, turn on the centrifuge, and spin the mouse around for several minutes. Now he was working on ways to make the centrifuge spin even faster. Marcus cringed whenever he saw Roger take a tiny mouse out of the capsule. The disoriented animal would be so dizzy it would struggle to stand. Marcus finally protested the experiments after school one day. "Look at that mouse. He's just staggering. I swear you're going to kill him if you keep doing that." "Nah, he can take it. See?" Roger said, and he put the mouse back in the centrifuge capsule and turned up the spinning mechanism until the mouse looked like a mere blur. He inwardly resented Marcus's warnings and especially disliked that Marcus seemed to know something about such things too. "Besides," Roger went on, "he deserves to get dizzy. If he can't take it, it just proves he hasn't got the right stuff. I'm just letting him know how bad he is so the others will get it." "Roger, you better not kill him," Marcus cried. "He's not a bad mouse. That's stupid." "It's none of your business," Roger snapped. Roger had deemed the mouse bad, so the mouse was bad in his eyes. "Well, it is my business, and you are going to hurt him." Marcus stormed over to the centrifuge and pushed his shorter brother away. "I'm going to save him right now." Roger shoved back. "You, playing the hero like always. Leave him alone." The boys pushed each other's chests in a small bedroom, and Roger sent Marcus spiraling backward into the wall desk near their bunk bed. Marcus lost his balance and fell onto the desk, stretching out his right arm to break his fall and pressing on the wooden horizontal surface supported by 2 thin chairs. The chairs broke as he landed, and the surface cracked at its hinges and tore from the wall. Marcus tumbled on top of the broken table desk, slashed open his right arm, hit the floor, and cried out in pain. His arm immediately bled bright red profusely. In seconds, Loretta Ramsey ascended the stairs and shouted frantically at the sight before her. Marcus lay writhing and bleeding on the floor amidst the broken wall desk remains. Roger stood leaning against the bunk bed, arms crossed, holding back laughter, though he also wheezed with asthma. All the while, Roger's centrifuge continued to spin, with its mouse passenger peering out from the little egg-shaped capsule. Nearby, 7 other mice huddled in a labeled cage. Loretta froze for a split second and then ran to grab some tissue from the twins' bathroom. She sprinted back with it past Roger and the mice in the box to stop the bleeding on Marcus's arm. As his mom hurried past him, Roger watched in utter disbelief at how Marcus had managed to suddenly seize all her attention again. "So what if he's bleeding?" he thought maliciously. "He'll get over it. He should never have tried to butt into my project, so he deserves to be hurt. Besides, the mouse isn't in any real danger of dying. He'll only get real dizzy from the centrifuge like he's supposed to." As Loretta tended to Marcus's cut, Roger walked with his back to them over to the still spinning centrifuge. He turned off its power and watched it gradually slow to a halt. He looked at the mouse in the egg-shaped capsule and, to his horror, saw that the little animal was clearly dead. Its face was pulled back and distorted, and its eyes had turned a glassy crimson red, wide open, staring blindly at nothing as if it had seen a ghost. Blood dripped from each side of its mouth and from its nose. Suddenly shaking and realizing Marcus had probably been right about submitting the mice to that degree of spin, Roger quickly turned around, glanced at his preoccupied mom and Marcus, and then turned back and cupped the dead mouse in his hands completely so they couldn't see it. Without a word, he walked swiftly toward the stairs leading down to the first floor. "What's that you got in your hands, Roger?" Loretta asked after him. Oh, nothing, Roger called back casually as he could and kept walking. 2 mornings later, Loretta Ramsey was taking the garbage out to the can while the boys were at school. She opened the lid and threw the garbage bag in, but just then she looked down the side and gasped. She grabbed her chest, feeling faint, and a sharp pain ran up her left arm to her shoulder. Am I having a heart attack, she thought? Is this how my sister Mary's palpitations feel? Then she noticed the small, dead white mouse at the bottom of the trash can, hunched over with its tiny claws perched in a gruesome, wicked, spastic sort of posture. Its wide open eyes had been eaten away by maggots that were still burrowing around the entire carcass. Dried, dark brown drools of blood caked its mouth and nose. Its face was pushed back and distorted as if it had been surprised. What in God's name, Loretta gasped, pulling back and holding her chest, not wanting to look at the mouse anymore, but feeling equally compelled to gaze at it. She felt the pain in her chest and arm gradually subside, and she flashed back to the centrifuge incident a few days earlier. She remembered how Roger had hunched over and slunk out of the bedroom so suspiciously, then wept quietly later that evening. It all made sense now. But what was she going to do? Is this the little man I always find myself protecting? What is he becoming? Thank you.